Welcome to In Good Faith. I'm the host, Sean Johnson, and we have our guest, Dan Robinson, who is the director of the Center for Community Service and Learning here at the college. He's worn many hats at the college. One of the hats that he's worn is a musician, and that is something that he continues today. So if we can go ahead and welcome Dan Robinson. What is it about service and faith that you think is interesting? How did you get into the whole idea of service being important in your life, and what's the correlation between service and faith?
Well, you know, I have a confession to make. I mean, I guess I've never really thought about service in terms of faith as a separate thing. For me, those two kind of meld into one term. I was thinking about that as we were talking about preparing for today, and when I was a kid growing up, I grew up in a small town that my mom had grown up in, so we had a lot of family around, and we were involved in the local parish there, Sacred Heart Church, in a little farming community in northwestern Indiana. And you know, you just did stuff. I mean, it wasn't like, well, you know, we need to contribute, or we need to be of service because that's what our faith calls us to. You just did stuff, partly because if you didn't do it, nothing would happen. I mean, it wasn't like there was a lot of professional staff to do things. There was the priest, and that was it. And if anything was going to happen in the parish, people had to do it. And so my mom was the director of the children's choir, which meant that I was in it for a lot more years than my friends were, and which at the time seemed like a huge burden, but in hindsight was probably a good thing for me. I was an altar server, and my dad would set up things and would move things around and set them up in the church. Like, he always got out the fans that they had, because, you know, they have air conditioning, so I got the big fans in the church, and he always managed somehow to point them right at the seat that we always sat in, so it worked out really well. And so, you know, and my grandmother was involved. My aunt was a catechist. My grandmother was on parish council. I mean, it was just, he just did stuff, and so it wasn't so much that, you know, it was a call to service. It's just, this is just what you did. And so as I guess I sort of inherited that viewpoint. In one sense, I'm very blessed to have the job that I have now, because I enjoy talking about service. I enjoy talking about us getting engaged in the wider community. But I have to admit, sometimes it feels a little artificial in that I just think this is who we are as people. This is how we should live our lives, even if you don't even come from it from a faith perspective, as citizens of our community. This is just what you do.